Hey guys, what's up? My name is Brandon Wicklund. I'm a Health First fitness coach and a TAC-Fit field instructor here in Palm Desert, California. And today I want to talk a little bit about exercise stress and the relationship between technique and the effort that you put into any given exercise at the time. So first things first, let's define what stress is. If you just give a basic working definition, stress is any non-specific physiological response in the body-mind, okay? Whether that's real stress, it's actually happening in the real world, or it's an imagined stress, some type of fear of the future or fear of something going wrong, the body cannot tell the difference. So a stress is a stress is a stress. And one thing to keep in mind, if you've ever played that game Tetris where the little blocks fall from the top of the thing and they keep stacking up, that's kind of like stress, because all stress summates in the body and it starts to add up if you don't use basic recovery type techniques or things that are going to discharge that amount of stress. So why is that important? How does that relate to your technique in an exercise and the effort? Well, in my experience, what I've learned is that if you think of the technique for any given exercise, let's say a push-up, for example, your technique is basically like a container. It could be, you could think of it like a cup, right? It's containing something, and that thing that it's containing is the effort that you're gonna put into it, or at least it should, okay? So think about it like this. If you have a cup and your effort is, let's say, 60% of your max effort that you can muster, and you're pouring 60%, it's kind of like water coming out of this spigot, right, out of your faucet, and you're filling your cup up. Now, how much water pressure, 60%, 70%, 80%, up to 100%, how much water pressure can your container, can your technique, can your cup hold before it gets a crack in the cup, or AKA a power leak? And what that might look like in the push-up would be your elbows start to flare, or you have a saggy low back and you can't keep your core engaged, right? So your technique starts to break down with the more effort that you're putting into the exercise. Now, this can go a lot of different ways, okay? So why is this important, and why should we even care about this, okay? In my experience, working with tons of clients, hundreds and hundreds of clients, training myself, being involved in the fitness industry for well over 15 years, I've come to learn that essentially sometimes less is more, okay? So if you're looking at stress, okay, the idea here is that we want to have sufficient stress, but not excessive stress, because there's different types of stress that we can get into. You have something called eustress, which basically means it's a positive amount, it is sufficient, it's the right amount of stress for my lifestyle, what I'm going through, taking in all factors. Because as we said, stress summates in the body, whether it's real or imagined, it is real to your nervous system, and it is affecting you, right? So you want to stay in a space of eustress, or sufficient stress, okay? So that way your cup can have, can be very integrous, it's strong, it's held together, there's no cracks, or what we would call a power leak, my back sagging, my elbows flaring, etc., etc. Those are called power leaks, right? So when we get into the state of excessive stress, it actually turns into something called distress. And anytime you're in the state of distress, it's too much. And everything that you're going to do in that state is going to be to your detriment. It's going to break you down. It's not going to build you up. So, a novice trainer, you may be hitting the end of your push-ups, your back is sagging, they're telling you to get tough. Come on, do more, as if more output is what you want to do. And we've been taught that we need to do more. We need to do more output. More is better. Who can do it faster? Who can do it longer? Who can do it in the shortest period of time? But they're never asking the question, well, whose fuel efficiency is the best? Who can do it without pain? Who can do it the smoothest, right? Using the least amount of energy. And the more you pour your effort into holding your technique together, the more you're going to get out of your exercise, okay? So most exercises and exercise programs these days are built from distress or excessive stress, rather than trying to resist stress and become resilient, okay? You cannot become tough or resist stress until you become resilient, okay? So like I said, we've been taught that we must force more output regardless of technique. You see this all over the place on YouTube. You see this in almost every gym you go to. People are just moving for the sake of moving. They're flailing about. They think that doing more is better. They think that, and what I've learned over time is that it's an ego thing. So the ego sees other people doing things. We want to jump into the badass stuff. We want to slam the ropes and jump and do all these things. But the problem is, most of us, due to our sitting culture, due to life itself, we do not have the prerequisites required to do the crazy, cool, fun things that you see a lot of people doing. And a lot of exercise programs are building you in a distressed state, right? And anytime you're in a distressed state, usually what happens is that you have some type of emotion tied to it. So your body's gonna remember the bad and forget the good, right? We don't want that. If you're gonna be exercising, you wanna be doing fitness, you're usually doing it, in my opinion, or from my standpoint, because you wanna have a longer life. You wanna be out of pain, you wanna be moving better, you wanna pick up your kids, you wanna do things that are gonna make your life better and easier. You don't wanna add on crap and armor to yourself that you're not gonna be moving well, you're not gonna feel good, okay? So one of the big crazes is doing this high intense interval training. But if you really wanna train at high intense levels, heart rate jacked up over 80% intensity, you have to learn how to ward off excessive stress or distress, okay? So just want to give you guys a little bit of a tip here today. And what that would be is slow down a little bit. Pour all of the effort that you can muster into holding the best technique possible. That's where all your effort goes. Don't put your effort in just to moving to say you moved and you lifted the kettlebell and X, Y, and Z, right? So pour your effort in holding the best technique that you can. And what you can do is you think of technique on a 1 to 10 scale, 8 to 10 being good to great, 5 or 6 being generally okay, right? Or not so great. And most conventional fitness programs, they operate pretty much on around a 5 or a 6 level. Okay, never tapping into a higher level of fitness. And what that means is that if you have, say you're doing a push-up and you're at the stage 5, you have a 5 out of 10 scale, that means 50% of the push-ups that you're doing are gonna be good and you're gonna adapt to and you're gonna benefit from. But that also means that 50% of those push-ups are gonna be garbage in, which is gonna be garbage out, that you're not gonna adapt to, or you're gonna adapt to, but not in a way that is gonna make you better or make you feel better. It's gonna be at your detriment, at your expense. And what's the point in that? So imagine if you were able to put better technique into your push-ups, right? And you did less reps, but at better quality. You're gonna get more out of it. Now, if you had your push-up at an 8 on a 10 scale, 80% of the work you're doing was great, and then only 20% is gonna be something that you don't want. And there's some things we can do in TacFit that we specifically use called compensation moves that unwind that 20% so that you can discharge that excessive stress in your body. Same thing with the effort. You need to pour in as much effort as you can maintain an 8 to a 10 in your technique. So there's a saying in TacFit that we use is as fast as your form can hold. And what that means to me or to us in our in this experience is that if you can only put 60% of your full intensity in to hold your push-up together with elbows are in and your flat back and your core is fully engaged and everything is active, then that's perfect. Anything more than that, you start to break down, you start to lose your form, your technique goes to shit, and then next thing you know, you're walking around and you're wondering why you're not getting better, not feeling better, can't move better. It's because your exercise program is the very thing that's putting you in this state. So hope that gives you guys some value, and comment below, let me know what you think, and give it a shot. Pour more effort into your technique and then do your best, forget the rest. I'm Brandon, Coachella Valley TacFit, and one other thing, a lot of this information I learned is from Scott Sutton, TacFit, and the Primal Stress program. So if you want to check it out, this seems like something interests you, please by all means check that program out for way more details and whatnot. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.